I am here with Destruct.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for being with us here on Creators Weekly.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I was hoping that you could tell the people a little bit about who you are, what you do, and maybe when you got started.
Well, first off, I'm an MC at heart. You know, before anything, that's how I was introduced to this whole hip hop culture and world was by MCing. Shout out to Crisscross. They did a commercial for Rugrats when I was 6 years old, and I was a huge fan of the cartoon, and that's what really introduced me into just hip hop in general.
Rugrats is dope, for sure.
so I even posted it recently, just to give people a little blast in the past from like what are my real roots,
Okay.
Like look at it twisted, like Warren G. Regulators is like one of the first albums I ever owned in regards of like hip hop.
Okay.
But what really got me into it was that Crisscross Rugrats commercial.
Awesome.
Indulging into just beatboxing, just fully submerging myself with this music. Even if I didn't have something to say, I had a rhythm or a melody to hum. I just loved it so much that I remember when I went to Brazil the first time when I was 6, as I was being introduced to hip hop, I was also being introduced to rock, and my dad was a huge Queen fan, and we all know the classic song "We Will Rock You."
Absolutely.
So I didn't have any beats on me at the time. I didn't even know what an instrumental was. I was 6. So when I went to Brazil and my family wanted to hear what I could do, because my mom was kind of like egging me on, like, come on, you said you could do this.
Yeah.
So I had my family kind of do like reenact "We Will Rock You."
How old were you said?
I was 6.
6. Damn, that's young.
So I'm talking like stomping feet, clapping hands.
I love it.
And I would just start freestyling off of that. So that's what kind of really got me into just performing and just freestyling and being able to
I have to just tell you this really quick story. It's weird because my little brother, he's 9 now, but that was one of his first songs that he ever started singing was about, and he was like 5, 4 or 5.
MC at heart, but since I've been blessed to come on my own facility, I'm able to executive produce and record and kind of really just bring people's visions to life, whether they're singers, MCs.
So you produce.
I do produce in a sense of getting the right beat and arrangements, as well as I compose with my live band as well. Shout out to Inner City Soul. That's our other studio in East LA.
Make sure to put them in here. Definitely.
Exactly.
Nice.
So it's been a blessing. Besides MCing, besides executive producing, I've been blessed to direct some short films, some videos as well, because I've always been a huge fan of cinema. I'm like the biggest movie buff.
That's awesome.
So I'm just a fan of that.
I hear that more and more with musicians. A lot of MCs that I've been speaking to lately, they're very intrigued with cinema, and it makes sense because they're storytellers in their own way. So.
That, and we're always on the road, we're always on the moves, so it's like it's like sports aren't always on. You know what I mean? We got but we're always access to movies. Okay. So the right movie can inspire the right song, the right state of mind. You never know. You never know.
So that's another interesting thing as far as like your creative process. Do you mainly just pull, like you said, from something you hear, life experiences? Are you very personal with it, or are you a storyteller? Do you make up these stories, or is it a little bit of everything?
I mean, that's a great question. I would say I think it's a balance of both, of just complete self experiences as well as like creative expression. Whether if it's the beat maybe reminded me of something I went through, or maybe it did remind me of a scene from a movie that I wanted to recreate or reenact in my own perspective. So it's definitely a balance of both. Okay. But for the most part, I definitely would say my music is more reflective. I think I kind of leave it up to the listener for them to kind of make up their own mind or justify whatever point I'm trying to make exactly. Yes, it was like the end of November, and it was called Love Songs for Winter, which was crazy. It's like 8-year gap of a collection of random love songs I had chronologically.
That's cool.
Chronological different points in my life, and really capturing just different moments and things that I went through for better, for worse, highs and lows. And it was never intended, but in this case, I ended up with all these dope love songs that made sense under one roof. And I figured, you know what? It was the season. It was winter, and all the songs, they're not all gloomy and end up with a sadder, conclusion. But it just definitely had a vibe that you can play in the wintertime. You know what I mean? For better, for worse. So it's interesting you bring that up. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, now that you even dive into that, I love the fact that you're pulling from your collection, because as an artist that has been there for years, like I've known about you since way back in the day. I'm a singer at heart. I'm not like stage presence, so I would love to be a singer. And I even remember listening to your stuff back in the day. You would come out to the 805 as well. So I love that you're pulling. Hell yeah.
Got a cigar, a whole bunch of fam out there.
That's my
Mike
family.
Bless, you know what I'm saying? Nice. Good peoples. We got a banger.
Absolutely.
With a producer from Spain coming very soon. A banger.
I'm
Hopefully
excited.
DJ Rome's will bless it. So shout
putting
out
it
to
out there, putting it out there. Yes.
Classic shit. Lupac, legendary 805 shit. So you already know.
I just love that you pull from the different times of your life because I've always thought it's very interesting to see evolutions of an artist, and that's really cool that you put it into a project like that.
Oh, thank you. I mean, you have to. I look at albums as more of an experience, not just a collection of songs. Even though that Love EP was, I look at track listing like an art form within itself. I still wanted to put things in a way that it still made sense as a fluid and consistent project. It wasn't just a mixtape.
It definitely did.
You know, I probably put out maybe one mixtape ever, kind of just showcasing 10 years of work, because I've been in the scene and doing music for a little over 10 years, like a decade and some change, you know. So we like fine wine better with time.
There you
so,
go. There you go.
Well, with
hear that?
You know, feel free to use that.
I'm getting
bar,
up there in ages, so you know.
Oh, but it's okay. The music keeps us young.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, every project, besides it capturing a moment of time in my life, I always wanted to be an experience, have a concept, have a message, because I always loved when I spent my hard-earned cash on an album, whether if it's rock, rap, or any genre, where I could enjoy it front to back and be like, damn, like there was really effort and substance put into this.
Absolutely.
You know, if like you listen to everything front to back, you'll notice a little hidden interlude or a little extra gem at the end of the song that you wouldn't have noticed if you were just skimming through shit.
Or if you never got their project. So that's another reason why we got to support artists and check out their entire albums, their EPs, whatever it is.
In the single-driven world, like in this, even though it's a single-driven music world, period, I think there's still like hope for real albums to exist, for bodies of work to exist, and that's where my head's at.
100%, there's that out there. It's just waiting to be discovered.
Very true.
And
that's why, and because if you said that, waiting for it to be discovered is the main reason why I call myself the best that you never heard. Because I'm not one to boast, and I'm not one to embrace my Leo-ness, but I know at the end of the day, once you hear what I'm doing, I definitely want to justify that and be like, why am I the best that you never heard? Deadly with every word, you know what I mean? So
I love that. You've definitely been in the game for a while. What about family? Like, where did you grow up? Where did the influence come from, other than hearing the greats, you know, on the radio or wherever? Where did you hear them first?
Well, I was born in East LA. I was raised in West LA. Then I migrated all over LA from Lancaster and back, North Cal to South Cal, then kind of ended up here in the Calles de la Valle and in Van Nuys, so it's been
not a bad place to end up.
Not a bad place. It's a more hood side of town, so it gives me that LA feel regardless, you know? We're just over the hill, you know? So it's been an interesting perspective just being in different sides of town, and I was raised mostly by my mom, and so, you know, going through that struggle alone, things were never easy. You know, I talk about in some of my more recent songs, I remember getting like mugged walking down the street with my grandma when we were just trying to get to my friend's, you know, birthday party at McDonald's. You know, because all the birthday parties were at McDonald's back in the day. So
true.
You know, it wasn't the best times and it wasn't the worst of times, but I was grateful to survive and go through what I went through, to really humble myself and really be appreciative of what I have and what I've survived, and I'm able to be here and tell the story till today, you know?
Absolutely.
And music-wise, I mean, my mom was more like on that, besides like, you know, embracing stuff from my cultura, from my music in Brazil, which is samba, which is very fast-paced, bossa nova, more jazzy type of music. There was also a lot of, you know, classic soft rock, hard rock, you know, R&B, you know, oldies in that sense. It wasn't much hip-hop. Until that Rugrats commercial came into my life,
but
you know, at 6.
that makes sense that you also have a band, because you're kind of incorporating more of that live flow.
Yeah, that's what made things that much more natural when I came with the band. The fact that they were so widespread, you know, musically, because they had more of a, I would say, like a reggae and rock background, you know what I mean? So I was able to still kind of infuse what I was doing and also build with them, and they also triggered like feelings and different ideas I had from my music that I grew up with that had nothing to do with hip-hop. So it was an interesting melting pot of styles that we're able to kind of piece together and make sense of. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was interesting, and I got with them around the same time that I jumped into the scene. I jumped into the scene, I was about like late 17, early 18.
So you're still with the same band from way back then?
I'm still rocking with the same
Dang,
band, even
that's
though it's just my
commitment.
drum. Yeah, I mean, it's family. It's my drummer, my sax player, but we're all multi-talented and able to do different
That's
things.
awesome.
And you play different instruments, so we're still able to keep it going and make it sound like a full band
Awesome.
compared to the 6 ensemble. So like it doesn't matter what you have, it's how you use it. You know, whether if you have a full band or not, or just
And
you and
your
the
creative
producer.
side, because if you didn't have the creativity, you wouldn't maybe
Exactly.
be able to do that.
So it goes to show, like, doesn't matter what you use or how many people are involved. If the will is there and the ear is there and the effort's there, then
Absolutely.
I mean, the results can be pretty interesting and pretty amazing.
But that must be hard to keep a band together for that long, because you hear about so many bands breaking up. You hear about, switching out people in the band, bandmates, I guess
VH1
you'd say.
behind the music drama, you know?
Absolutely.
Oh, I've been there. I even left the band for a chunk of time because of just drama, not seeing eye to eye. But that's what happens when you have different ingredients up in the mix. Sometimes too many cooks in the kitchen don't
Especially
mix.
creatives, I feel very passionate, obviously, and have a vision for what they're trying to accomplish.
Absolutely. And I've been in my fair share of groups. I've been blessed to work with some legendary MCs and even be a part of groups with them. And I even been in groups with some exes. And so I've been in a lot of different interesting group efforts. But one thing I've learned that no matter what, every group effort in life is a compromise.
Absolutely.
So, even though you might be on your mission, you might not see eye to eye who you work with and vice versa.
Taught you as far as like personal relationships, like I feel like working in a band is a lot like a relationship. It is a relationship, but like a romantic one or a family member, and you're gonna have those ups, those downs, and you've learned to kind of overcome them. So was it the band that taught you how to do that in life, or is it more personal experiences and communication that taught you how to be a good band member?
That's a great question. I think it's a little bit of both, because I was the only child, but then with my mom and my stepdad, I was in a house with 8 stepsisters, and it wasn't no seventh heaven. So dealing with that dynamic and with so many people, it definitely opened my eyes more of just working with big groups and having that understanding and tolerance.
That is a lot of girls.
It is. Let me tell you. So yeah,
God bless you.
No seventh. Thank you. I survived a lot of novellas,
Yeah.
But it definitely enabled me to be more tolerant and open-minded with working with my band, because there's so many times where you could bump heads for the stupidest things and nothing ever gets done.
Absolutely.
But when that groove is there and everyone's on the same page, it's a beautiful thing. It's funny. I say a joke, when you rock with a live band, it's like the feeling's better than sex sometimes, because it's just such an adrenaline rush to have everyone in sync, in motion, and making a sound that sonically makes sense. Like you guys are all creating one groove to make a whole crowd react to it. And don't get me wrong, I'm an MC at heart, I'm a boom bap kid at heart, and I would never knock the foundation of one MC and one DJ, but it's a whole different element and a whole different vibe when you rock with the live band behind it.
Artists in general, but watching a musician on stage, I feel like sometimes, and I've told people this, like, almost like musicians are possessed, but in the most beautiful way. Like, right. To me, it blows my mind when people can coordinate that way,
right.
The sound, make it into something so beautiful.
Yeah.
And then when you watch someone get lost, and then they don't even know what they did because they're like, I blacked out or something, like literally that
zoned out in the moment
is crazy to me.
It is
it's beautiful and crazy.
It is. You're absolutely right. And now it's like, I say, like, all of us as fans, musicians aside, we all have our own natural sense of rhythm. So now it's amazing how we can create in a way where it's as easy as me just humming a sound, and I could have my drummer, he also plays different instruments. He can hop on a guitar or bass line and recreate what I did. So we are literally just making something out of nothing. And then to see that come into fruition and really get fully, embraced and developed into a piece of work, and all because of one little harmony, one little freaking melody. Sound. I just came about out of nowhere.
And you can manipulate any sound,
exactly.
Yeah, so
compared to, don't get me wrong, and I will always respect the form of sampling. I mean, there would be no hip hop without the art form of sound. Even describe it, and it can create something beautiful that you never expected to create. I mean, it's definitely amazing within itself. It's things like that remind you, like, hey man, this is something that you can never put a price on. You know what I mean? Like, of course we want nothing more than monetary gain and to be financially stable, but to give you that sense of peace and just the fact that you're able to really create without any kind of technical learn. You know what I'm saying? There was no classic any form of training or any kind of traditional way of receiving information or learning this music. It's just feeling what you felt in that moment,
Yeah.
putting it out there, and
That's
really
true.
making something out of nothing. So that's something that I've learned to embrace
That's
and really
beautiful.
appreciate, just to have a whole nother understanding and appreciation for compositions.
Absolutely.
It's pretty mind-blowing.
That
seriously.
is.
Yeah, seriously. As well as facilitate the recording, services and creative services and executive producing. I never knew that I had, I guess, the hosting kind of element in me. I've been blessed to host a lot of dope events. I used to do, a couple hip hop series shows, and now I do this radio show with my boy DJ Swift, who's an OG, DJ from France, and we do the show called The Format, which is a straight, open kind of discussion / showcase of new and old hip hop that we love. And and for it to be on a global scale, and shout out to Wild One Radio that blessed us with with that opportunity.
That's
And it's something that I never expected to do. I was on a show as a guest. He was on Wu-Tang Radio, and he had a show on there. He really dug what I was doing. He just dug my whole vibe. That less than a year later said, "Hey, I'm having my own show now on my own broadcasting service, my own radio network. I would love for to do a show with you." And he gave me the complete creative freedom to come up with the titles, the segments, the structure. So
I love that.
it's a blessing. The Format at wildoneradio.com.
Shout out.
Hour-long dose of that certified dope every Tuesday, 9 p.m. That's what it is. So,
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
No, we're getting into that now too. I wanted you to talk about any projects that you have coming up in the next few months. That way we can make sure to keep an eye for you before we wrap it up.
Absolutely, thank you. Well, as of now, and I'll keep it very short and sweet. I just put out a dope hip hop R&B banger with this amazing Middle Eastern singer Faraz. The song's called "Do the Same." It's available everywhere: Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to music.
Awesome.
It's at as well as destructmusic.com, as well as if you need any info on recording, studio time, all that business, one-stop shop is destructmusic.com. To keep it short and sweet, I have an amazing single with Blue, which is a legendary West Coast MC, or definitely a legend on the rise, who has classics with Exile and Madlib, just to name a few. So I have a dope-ass single with Blue coming out. Shout out to Downell Smokes. My next solo record with Black Amish, amazing producers. They have a gold plaque with Little Dicky. They have shit with ASAP Game, Trippie Redd, and the list goes on. So look out for that. Dream State.
That sounds good.
Yeah, Dream State is the name of that, as well as my live band record, Inner City Soul, The Standard. We've been working very hard on everything. So these are things to look out.
I got a sneak peek. You're not gonna want to miss it. Trust me.
I
Trust me.
appreciate that. Seriously.
Follow him.
Thank you
Where
so
can
much
they
for your
find
time.
you?
Everything one-stop shop at Destruct Music.
Destruct.